Hey, what's up, traders? This is Trader Tim from EminiMind. We're going to go through the week's trades and talk about a couple other things like the pattern day trade rule that has done away with and where the market's at here with all-time highs. So first touching on that pattern day trade rule, not a huge issue with futures trading, but if you are trading stocks and even options in some other markets, the $25,000 minimum has gone away, the account balance to essentially day trade. There's been a few ways to get around that. And for a lot of traders, $25,000 is a reasonable amount to have in an account if you're going to swing trade stocks or trade an ETF. You're going to need larger capital than you would with the futures markets. I think a lot of people gravitate towards futures because of the lower intraday margin and the dollar requirement needed, just the capital investment to get going. And that can be good or bad. I got my start swing trading daily bars, so swing trading stocks. And I feel like that really helped give me a solid grasp of understanding, market structure and strategy. I wasn't looking at intraday charts. I was only looking at daily bars and not doing anything intraday. I would just manage my trades at the close and typically do my analysis after hours and then put on the trades, put the orders in at the open. So that helped, I think, set a good foundation for my trading. Then it was about 2 years after I started swing trading that I added in the day trading component. So with that pattern day trade rule going away, some platforms might still have various intraday margin requirements that are larger than you might see like a $500 intraday margin with Tradevate. And based on volatility, sometimes like Thinkorswim has in the past raised the margin requirement for intraday futures trading when volatility is higher. Since Schwab bought, was Thinkorswim, then bought by TD Ameritrade, then bought by Schwab, and they really haven't reduced the intraday margin since then. There's not really much incentive for them to bring on a lot of futures traders. The active trader has gotten a lot better over the years, but it's still not as good as like a Tradevate. So the next thing to talk about is with all-time highs returning here in the S&P. I have this 50% retracement on just to kind of have a reference point of where the last halfway back is. If we start to pull back, then I'm going to want to draw from lows to highs to, watch if we can make a 50% pullback to the long side. But, we are right back into all-time highs. Volatility has dropped. The VIX is down below 20 again. And this is a good reason why I do not sell my long-term positions like in my retirement account and then try to buy them back when the market is down. I put on the weekly chart a 10% retrace or 10% sell-off line, and that was just about where we made it to. This purple line here, pink line, is a 10% decline from highs. And so, that's typically a good place to look to add to a long-term position somewhere around that, 10% decline. But if you sell at, any point in a long-term retirement account and try to buy back, at lows, we never know where the lows are going to be. And if you asked me, a couple weeks ago, if I thought we'd be back at all-time highs in a matter of 2-3 weeks, I would tell you absolutely not. There's nothing indicating that we're going to go shooting back up to all-time highs, a few weeks ago. And then, things change. The Iran war, shifts and deals are potentially made or proposed, and all of a sudden the market can go shooting back up. So I find it's much better to buy puts against my long-term positions. So buy puts on the way when we bounce and are moving down, making legs lower. Excuse me. and then use that profit to buy more shares. Because if you try and exit, let's say on a double top back here, and you say, oh, the market double topped, I'm going to close out my long-term position and try to buy it back on a pullback. Well, market goes up, 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 and you never really get that pullback. And even if you do, let's say the market made all the way back to these prior highs and you bought back in where you had sold out. Well, that whole time you missed the dividend interest and things. And so it's much more profitable to just stay in the market with your long-term positions and then buy puts against them with just, 1 to 2% of the capital. You don't have to have huge put positions. They can really add up to a good amount if you just put on, a small hedge against the market going down. So that's some kind of bigger picture stuff, but let's get into the intraday ES trades. It's been a good week for the 15-minute opening range breakout. We had 2 plus 20s both on Monday and Tuesday, and then yesterday and today were just tiny losses of -4. So up 32 points per contract on the 15-minute opening range breakout. And then I wanted to start with today on the ES because I actually didn't have any 1-minute inverted hammer trades, but there were a handful of hammers and inverted hammers, and I wanted to show you why. A couple of them I put orders out and just didn't get a fill. The market didn't go in that direction, so no harm, no foul. And then a couple other ones would have stopped me out if I took them, but I did not. And so the first one, pull up my notes here. The first one was 6:41, and that was, so my clock on the bottom here is Pacific time. And so these two inverted hammers right in here, actually at 6:45 and 6:46. So they are inside of this 6:41 big body candle. And I don't like to put on a trade when the following candles are inside. So if I put a box around this bigger body candle here, these candles are inside of that big body candle. They're inside bars. And so, if you tried to go long at this 21 here, the market just rolls over. So that was a pass on that long because it was inside of the big body candle earlier. Then the next one, 13, was actually, before we get to the one over here, I wanted to mention this guy here at 656. This was a one candle bounce off of lows, meaning the candle before it was the low of the day. And then the inverted hammer formed just bouncing up one candle. I don't like to short those because we're so close to lows. And, this one went down, I don't know, maybe 2 points, and then it turned around. So that one was also another pass. 713 was, this guy here. This was decent. The challenge with this, so I've got the 30-minute high and low marked. This line in the middle is the 15-minute low. I just left it on because it kind of came into play here. So note first how we are within the first 30-minute range this entire morning session. And anytime we're within the first 30-minute range, anytime we can't break out of that range, it's a very good sign that we are, by definition, going to be range bound. Now, you can look for trends within the first 30-minute range. And towards the end of the session, we did start to uptrend and get a strong move up here at the very tail end of the session. But if we look at the bulk of the session, we pretty much sold off, formed that 30-minute high and low, and then just kind of sine wave, moving sideways with a bunch of consolidation. So there really wasn't a whole lot to do. If you wanted to take this as a short because we came up to resistance, you do have the support of the 21 potentially just below us. And so I tend to try and make my first trade of the day with the trend versus coming out with a counter trend move. And so I decided to pass on that one as a short. And then the other one that I put an order out, where's 26? Oh, this guy here. I did decide to try and short below this candle. We had a little bit of room to get to the 30-minute low. I thought we were close enough to lows that if we did roll over, this would be a lower high. It came up and touched the 21. And if we could break that candle's low, putting in a lower high, we could roll over and go lower. So I did put an order down at lows. It did not fill, and so I just deleted it. And that kind of ended the morning. There really wasn't a whole lot to trade in this consolidation. If we go back to the last couple of days, on Tuesday, we have, so the 14th, let me flip back here. On Tuesday, there was a long at 7:04. And this was during the live session. I've got that. I think that video is posted. I actually, typically I have those live trading sessions tagged under the weekly live trading sessions section. And that one should be public for anyone to see. So you can go watch that whole session if you want. And we took this long at 7:04. We were consolidating and then finally started to put in, this was kind of a triple bottom here. And then we came up and broke this high, put in a higher high, pulled back, put in this nice hammer, and then long above that hammer, came down, touched the 21, came really close to touching the 21. Anything inside of a point is close enough to tagging up on the 21. And then that one ripped nicely. So that was a +6 on Tuesday, plus the 20-point winner in the 15-minute orb. And then on Monday, another 20-point winner in the 15-minute orb, plus another 2 hammers that I took. The first one was at 53. So we opened up with a little gap down on Monday and then got these 3 very strong bullish candles. We pulled back, again, pulled back to the 21, formed this right on the edge of a hammer. The body is in the top third, pretty close to the top third. So I validated that as a hammer. The candle before it also has a bottoming tail. So I saw that as a bullish sign and then took that one at 53. Or the entry was 54. The signal bar was 53. That one got a +6. And then this hammer over here, this was a beautiful one. And this one actually came up right to 6 points, right to my target and filled me, which I would say happens maybe 1 out of 10 times where we come up to the price and get filled. I will say for like the 15-minute orb where you put an order in and your stop and target fire off right away. Well, when you have an order 20 points away from where price is, there's going to be a lot fewer orders up there waiting. And so if you do fire off a target, especially if it's far away, you have a better chance of being, first in line, one of the first ones in line or earlier in the line because it's first in, first out. And so if you fire off a target at the start when you put on a trade, make sure not to delete it and then add it again later because now you're going to be, put to the back of the line. So the sooner you can get an order out there and have, that target sitting there, the earlier, the further up in the line you'll be, and at least you'll have a better chance of getting filled at that price. But typically price has to trade through. But I would say maybe 1 in 10, maybe 1 in 15 times I would get a fill like that. So that was my week. It's been a super, super good week just with those 3 trades. But as far as hammers and inverted hammers go, but really solid Monday, Tuesday, and then didn't have anything today. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your week. On Friday, just wanted to make a note. I typically only take 1 trade on Friday, just so if it is a winner, great. I end the week on a positive note. And if I do have a stop out, no big deal. It's just one losing trade, and I don't carry a whole bunch of baggage into the weekend. So that's typically how I've always traded Friday. And carrying that positive mental framework, keeping a positive headspace is so important, because it's easy to start to snowball. And if you have a rough day on Friday and you're kind of down the dumps over the weekend, and then you start Monday in kind of a bad headspace, it can become easy to miss good trades, start to, try to revenge trade and trying to make money back right then and there. And then all of a sudden, you can really start to go off the rails. So keeping that good, positive headspace is so, so important, especially as you go into the weekend. So hope you have a great rest of your week. Have a good weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.